and welcome to the Haverhill Journal, where we take a look at what's happening now in our city. I'm Lindsay Paris, and today we're learning a little about the city's legendary hidden river and an upcoming rare open house at Historic New England's research facility. But first, as you can see, I've got my Mount Washington pride on today after the Journal traveled up to the Hill this week as part of our In the Neighborhood series. The Urban Kindness Neighborhood Organization welcomed us into their backyard to learn more about the fascinating evolution of this section of the city.
Welcome to the Mount Washington neighborhood. My name is Keith Boucher, and we're at 512 Washington Street here. We just love the area. We love being close to downtown. We love the diversity that it offers.
I'm a fourth-generation resident of the Mount Washington neighborhood on my mother's side. There's been a lot of changes, as we all know, in the Mount Washington area, some good and some bad. My family has been around to see pretty much all of it.
I came to live in Haverhill in 2009 when my mother gave birth to my little sister. I moved over to Pilling Street thereafter. I've been living there with my husband for about a year.
We fell in love with the community and we enjoy the people around us, specifically the urban kindness folks that have been so great to this community.
The Mount Washington neighborhood is bounded by River Street, Route 97 going up along Broadway, all the way through to Washington Street and then Lowell Street. Around the 1850s, we had a lot of the mill owners that started to move up here originally. And we had this gentleman, Edwin Boley, and he's an interesting character. He was an entrepreneur. We're at Walter Wysocki Park. This was the park that was supposed to kick off. This put the Mount in Mount Washington. Edwin Boley thought this was going to be the next Beacon Hill of Boston, and it just didn't work out because everybody ended up going to the Highlands.
Back around the turn of the century, when the shoe factories were really in their heyday here in Haverhill, many of the immigrants that were coming here from, in my case, my family were from Italy, but there were Polish, Greek, Armenian, many different people coming over to work in the factories. All of the factories, as you know, are in walking distance from this neighborhood. So this neighborhood allowed them to keep a garden, in some cases livestock.
So there's lots of different types of housing stock here. I mean, you got the Victorians like we have here, and there's quite a few of those around. And this house here, as well as the house across the street, all part of the Bartlett family. All of this land was owned by the Bartlett family. It used to be orchards, apple orchards, I think back in, like, say, the 1700s and 1800s. And a lot of it's preserved now. It's I think the last big stretch of land that goes from Washington Street all the way up to Observatory Hill. And this is a walkway that goes from Silver Street all the way up to the Constantino School, the Silver Hill School, and then it also connects in with another walkway that goes down to Bartlett, down to Washington Street. What's really cool is the fact that, like, say, there are deer, there are coyotes, there are all kinds of birds. I had a turkey in my tree.
Pilling Street is, if we go by and we go see it, you see that there's a lot of houses that look similar. And the reason for that is because they were previously row houses for the factory workers.
We're on Pilling Street right now. This is one of my favorite walks. I usually walk it maybe once a week or so. And this is, like, let's say, a classic example of mill worker housing. You get the typical nice New Englander housing on the right here, and then the triple-decker tenement. Typically, the folks that lived in these houses were mill workers, tannery workers, immigrants from mostly from Italy, from what I recall, and then they would be able to walk downtown, again, just being less than a half a mile from downtown.
Right behind Pilling Street now today, we have the Fantini Bakery, which still does provide jobs for a lot of the residents in the Pilling Street neighborhood.
Urban Kindness got started based upon, we had this spiritual group, our urban ministry called The Vine, and that started about 3 years ago. And all we were just trying to do was do good things for people, to love your neighbor in the neighborhood.
The reason I got involved, because I live in the community, I'm not too far from Mount Washington Street. So to be a part of Urban Kindness was really ideal for me. I like to get involved, to be able to make a difference.
It's also nice to have a community group that cares, like Urban Kindness, that will get together as a group and basically canvass certain areas of the neighborhood. I was involved with a cleanup that we had in front of Fantini's Bakery, and also too they'll have periodic meetings where residents can come and voice their concerns, issues, whatever might be going on, and then Keith then elevates that to whatever departments of the city it needs to address. Anything from code violations to can we make this street one way instead of two ways, things like that that will just enhance the quality of life.
So this is the Little Free Library. The whole thing was Keith's idea. He decided to have an adult library and a child's library. So I was so excited to take it on. So we have the adult one here in front of Keith's house, and we have the children's books in front of my house. And it's been tremendous. I have filled it. I've probably filled it 10 times already.
Community Garden was started about 3 years ago. We're in Keith's yard, and Keith donated the land, per se, with some money to start up and clear it by Joe Fantini. I think we have 10 different families that live in the Mount Washington neighborhood that have plots in here. With a grant from the Home Depot, we're going to fence this in. We lined it out, so we'll just keep going and adding and hopefully get more and more people to come and enjoy it with us.
Urban Kindness has been fortunate to be a member of the Mount Washington Alliance, which is a group of community leaders that worked for, like, say, 9 months to a year to identify what the assets were in the Mount Washington neighborhood, as well as what we could do to go off and improve the people's lifestyle that live in the neighborhood here. And we were fortunate to win the grant along with, I think it was like 4 other Massachusetts communities, and we'll get that over the next 3 years.
I think the people that live in the neighborhood just love to see that there's people that care about them, that care about the streets and the community.
Neighborhood groups like Urban Kindness certainly do help promote that and bring us together as a community as well.
We'd love to have more participation in Urban Kindness. We have 10 board members right now, and we've had over 130 participants. We're always looking for more people to kind of join us in the quest to make Mount Washington a great place to live. We meet once a month. We usually meet at the Rehoboth Church on 409 Washington Street. So we appreciate everybody's joining us.
So many interesting gems and exciting stuff going on up in Mount Washington. Thank you to Keith, Patty, Dennis, Hartel, and the other Urban Kindness members for everything they've done. Thousands and thousands of cars and pedestrians pass every day through Washington Square. Just your average city plaza, right? Well, actually, no. Not many realize they are traveling over a bustling underground waterway, Haverhill's hidden Little River. The Little River once played a huge role in city industry and recreation, so we headed down in search of this lost beauty.
In Haverhill, there's a big river and there's a little river. We are right here at the mouth of it, and this is where our big adventure on Little River begins.
The Little River was hugely important to the city's early history. Nearly 400 years ago, settlers purchased the land surrounding the Little River watershed from the Pennacook tribe. The river was so rich in fish and wildlife, a fish trap was set to provide an easy and free source of food for the village.
From the very beginning, the river was seen as a valuable power source to be harnessed. From the erection of the first sawmill on this spot in 1651 to the building of the massive Pentucket mills behind me in the 1830s. Later on, there would be tanneries, a shoe factory, and even a slaughterhouse here.
But all that industry took its toll on the river in the form of heavy pollution. As far back as 1908, the area of Little River between Lafayette Square and the Merrimack was described as an open sewer, a source of almost unbearable odors. Covering the river was floated as an option back then, but it wasn't until the devastating flood of 1936 that the river would finally go underground.
After the flood of '36, the Works Progress Administration provided the funding to build this huge tunnel from here under Washington Square all the way down to Lafayette Square, some 2,000 feet north. The covered portion of the river begins here behind Essex Street and ends almost a half-mile away at the Merrimack River Archway. These stone walls are rumored to have been built by Ezekiel Hale back in 1825 when they first tried to straighten out the river. Now, you can't travel all the way through the tunnel because there's a big gate in the middle, and I wouldn't want you to try either.
The U.S. Army Corps of Engineers spent 9 months constructing the tunnel, completed December 20th, 1937, which at points is over 8 feet in height. Upstream, the Little River is a fishing and small boating paradise. You can access the river by the Rosemont Street Bridge and at other points near Cashman Field and St. James Cemetery. Kayaking is allowed on the river, if you can get one there since there's no public launch spot. Kayaking is allowed on the river if you can get one there, which can be tricky because there's no public launch spot.
Like the Merrimack River, the Little River is now so clean that the fish and wildlife are back in abundance. We hope you learned a little today about Haverhill's favorite hidden river. Little River is really nice up north of downtown, so it's been good to see people getting out there fishing and enjoying it again. Here is a little known fact. One of New England's largest historic artifact collections is housed here in Haverhill at the Historic New England Research and Storage Facility at 151 Essex Street. Tens of thousands of items, including decorative objects, clothing, publications, and furniture, will be seen by the public for the first time in years on Thursday, June 23rd, when the organization will welcome the public in for an exclusive close-up tour of the decorative arts collection. Tour registration is required. Call 617-994-5910 or visit historicnewengland.org for more information or to purchase tickets. And just a quick reminder, Saturday, June 18th, HC Media will be hosting a poetry open mic and literary event down at the Goki Pop-Up Park on Merrimack Street from 2 to 4 p.m. Come enjoy poetry and spoken word readings, a giant interactive chalkboard, book exchange table, Haverhill Mad Libs, and more. If you're interested in reading poetry or prose, email me at lparis@haverhillcommunitytv.org or post on our Facebook page. If you have a story or event you'd like to see featured on the Haverhill Journal, call us at 978-372-8070 or email info@haverhillcommunitytv.org. And don't forget to like us on Facebook or at our HC Media YouTube channel. And that's what's happening in Haverhill the week of June 10th. I'm Lindsay Paris, and we'll see you next time.